Mesdames et messieurs, you are about to embark on an impossible journey through the world of cinema. Only Cirque du Soleil could imagine. Lumière. Caméra. Action. Iris. An incredible journey through the world of cinema.
When it comes to recreating the world of cinema, you're going to need props for that. And one of the guys behind doing that is Jared here from Iris. Let's talk about, you have so many different props. We see like the puppets and stuff behind here. How does all that fit into the show?
So the first act of the show, it's all about how cinema came to be. So there's a lot of shadow play, the idea of like Balinese puppetry, all of those ideas that kind of came to create cinema. So we use these shadow puppets, like the one behind us, as a representation of the lead character in the show, Scarlett, who in the second act becomes a star. But in the first act, she's just kind of creating her persona and creating the idea of who she is. And we use a lot of props of her to represent that.
And you guys are going through so many different eras of cinema and so many different genres. Sure. How hard was it to sit down and kind of come up with props for all those different kind of things? What kind of plan did you guys kind of start out with?
So the director really had a clear intention. The whole first act was a lot about shadow play and this idea of shadows. So, you know, we were looking at props and looking at the shapes of the props. The designer really refined the details of everything. So a lot of these props are small, but on stage they're in shadow, so they're a huge projection. So every detail is pretty exquisite.
And these aren't things that you can just buy off the shelf. This is something that you guys are creating from scratch. How hard of a process is it to do that?
So it's about a 3-year process to create a Cirque show, and it begins with just ideas and people sitting around and talking about what they want to create, and then it really comes down to how do you create that, and how do you create something that not only works for one show but works for shows for 10 years. So that's a huge process and a huge amount of people to come together and kind of collaborate and make the show work. So.
And let's talk about some of these ones up front. I know we have one to demonstrate here. These things aren't just props that sit there. These props actually move.
Yeah. These are all remote controlled props on stage. They're all characters within the show. We have a camera here. We have a baby Spot here. We have a pavillon over here is what we call it in French, but it's a gramophone type prop that kind of represents the idea of sound and light and eventually a camera that kind of puts those two ideas together and creates cinema. So.
And for this one right here, let's go have a kind of drive in, I guess, in here, because these things are actually moving, and you guys have smoke coming out of this.
Yeah, exactly. The idea of this one was it's kind of the older, it's a gramophone, it's kind of like a grandfather. You can see it has a slight rock to it, like a grandfather sitting in his rocker, listening to a gramophone, and the smoke idea as well, like a pipe or something out of its mouth. This one's it's called the baby Spot, and it's kind of a little bit more sprightly. It kind of rotates its head and kind of has a little bit more of a like a baby little spot that's running around on stage. This one is the camera, it rotates its head, and then the gears rotate as well. All of that's in shadow.
How big are your biggest props? Because these are pretty good size. What kind of scale are we looking at?
These are the smaller props in the show. We have like huge dollies, like I set up back there. We have larger props that, you know, acrobatic ladders, stair units, anything that's kind of decorative in the show becomes a prop. So we have this dolly over here that rotates around on stage and is an acrobatic element as well. So we have a lot of interesting, large and small pieces that we work on in the show.
Previews of Iris started July 1st, and tickets are on sale now for when the show opens September 25th. Here at the Kodak Theater for Time Warner Cable, I'm Noah Park.